Okay, this isn't just a flight, but a sonic experience brought about by the Maddog Immersive Sound Audio Pack. It captures over 230 meticulous sounds that only really a Maddog expert could understand, and also very good effects overall. Today we're going to try that out, and we are going to fly the Maddog properly. Okay, no just coming in from a 737 and applying 737 stuff and then getting the takeoffs wrong. Today we are going to do it properly. So I've arranged for y'all a short flight, okay, from Helsinki. So I've set up my weights as per my sim brief profile, and I'm going to now go to aircraft services and ground and select the GPU, and finally let us begin. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to the overhead panel and check the battery volts, and we have more than enough battery volts, 25 plus. That's good. So we can turn the battery on, and now a couple of systems have come to life. And now we are going to check the external power integrity, 115 volts, slightly more than 400 Hertz, but well within our rights to start. There we go, the external power buses are on and the galley power can come on. Let us now start the loading, okay? Start boarding, and now doors opening. Okay, and let's start the refueling as well. Okay, the FMC has come to life. We can put in our present position. So go to position initialization and set in the airport code, which is Echo Foxtrot Hotel Kilo. Copy the position, and there we go. The aircraft now knows where we are. Okay, carrying on, we can now press on with our cockpit flows. So I like to start at the overhead panel and start from the top. So unless we were talking to ground service, I would have my interphone on. And another thing for the sound pack is these two ADF switches. They need to both be on to avail of the nose wheel steering sounds as well as other sounds, as well as this one at full volume for the engine sounds. Okay, we can do now a fire test, which is successful, and we can adjust our lighting as required. Okay, flight recorder will just reset like so. All the circuit breakers are pressed in. There's none of them have popped, which is good. All our air data sources are all in the 12 o'clock position. And for the AHRS, the flight directors, etc. Okay, cockpit voice recorder will press and hold the test for 5 seconds. And the light should come on. There we go. The test is successful. We can reset our engine-driven generators to come online as soon as the engines start. APU reset. CSD disconnect switches are off. We can test the rise, which should be 0. I'm going to put the APU buses on now so that they kick in when the APU starts. Ignition is off for the time being. Fuel heaters are off. Emergency lights will test now. Normally you'd confirm with the PA that they're working and then set them to the arm position. There we go. No smoking is on. Seatbelt signs remain off until boarding. We'll now test the meter select and heat and ensure we're getting a current for all of them except the rattle, and we'll put them off for the time being. Okay, now coming to this part, the APU airs off, the master's off, and also the fire agent and discharge is all nicely closed up. Emergency power is tested and APU air set to norm. Fuel pumps, will do a fuel pump test now. Put the left pump on and off. Left inlet fuel pressure low is checked, and now the right hand side, and we can do so for the left and right forward pumps as well. Okay, windshield anti-fog, I want to turn that on. And now we can insert our date and time into the flight recorder. So today is Saturday, the 1st of November. So the 1st of the 11th. And flight number, I don't know, let's say 123. And let's say this is the first leg. And insert. Well, I'm not going to worry about AHRS today and all that stuff. Now let's test the anti-skid. Looking for 4 anti-skid warnings as so. Now the stall test. And the master warning and the stick pusher inhibit are selected. Okay, now the overspeed. Okay, that's all good. Logo lights we don't need. Now ICE FOD, same thing. 4 alerts. And reset. Your damper test will set to override and your damper off. And Mac trimmer will set to override and confirm the warning. Radio rack is set to fan. That's very good. It ensures that the hot air pressurizes, keeps the forward cargo compartment warm. Perfect for sensitive cargo such as pepper plants. Okay, cabin pressurization, we'll reset it like so. Our landing altitude today is 35 feet. And the barometric landing barrel we'll worry about later. Rate limit is checked. Flight deck door will deny, and finally air condition shut off is set to auto, ram is off, and annunciator light test. Checking all the annunciators are working like so, and now we can cancel it. Okay, coming over to the AHRS, we'll put our nav lights on. For the time being, lets others know, that the aircraft is powered up. And coming over here, we can check. Okay, refueling is done, and it looks like passenger boarding is done too. So let's put the seatbelt signs on. Okay, coming over here, we'll adjust our panel lighting as required. And now we will test our okay, that's enough, otherwise we'll be here all day. And also let us gauge the standby altimeter like so. Let's do a fuel used test and fuel reset. Now let's do the fire test, so we'll press both at the same time.
Fire left engine. Fire right engine. Fire left engine. Fire right engine.
There we go. And bell cut off. Now we can adjust our lighting as required for the AHRS. Let's do a fuel test, system A, system B, 1500, 1530, 45, they all add up. Same for system B, and press for 0 fuel weight. Now let's test our thrust modulation. Press the no mode. We have a RAT at 12 degrees and an EPA limit of 2.04. Let's set it to takeoff for now. And let us try the gear warning.
Landing gear.
And the gear horn cutoff as well.
Landing gear.
The test is successful.
Landing gear.
We can now test our hydraulic quantity. We have more than enough quarts for the flight. Minimum is like 5 if I'm not mistaken. We'll now test the auxiliary and transfer hydraulics. We have decent hydraulic pressure, and the flaps, as you can see, which are drooped, also came up. And we'll test our brake overheat test, brake temperature. We can even test our oxygen and also set our init and PA as required, which I'm not actually going to bother too much with. Okay, with all that out of the way, let's, you know what, let's turn the APU on to get the people happy. So we need a right hand side boost pump on, or even a center one. And let's start the APU. We also need to have our cross bleeds open for APU air to enter the cabin and to feed the engines. Okay, this APU is coming online. And it's making an incredible sound as it does so. So we'll let that spool up. In the meantime, let's get right to our FMC. So our destination today is Echo Victor Romeo Alpha. Echo Victor Romeo Alpha. Okay, now we'll set our departure. We're departing off 22 right. Okay, see how the APU just kicked in? And we are following the SID. This one. So we'll select that one. We'll go back to our route and enter in the rest of our waypoints. So our airway is Yankee 123. And our next waypoint is Lima Alpha Romeo Tango India. Next page. And now direct to Lima Uniform Tango Alpha Lima. Now finally our arrival, let's configure that. ILS 18. So let's choose this one. And then I'll clear the vectors. And the start is this one. And the transition, let's just clear that in the legs page. So actually it all seems to line up very well. I don't see any discontinuities. We can now check if we wanted to. So we can go to plan mode. And let's reduce our range. And check all our legs to see that they all line up in a nice straight line. Perfect. So now we can activate and execute it. Now performance initialization. Let's start with our, hang on, quiet. Okay, so we are going to enter in our weight. So gross weight today, first fuel is 52.6, 52.6. Along with this audio, we are getting exclusive audio from my background environment, because I am also a horologist by profession. 52.6 and our burn schedule normal. There we go. Hang on. Oh, okay, fuel. I was putting in my gross weight. Sorry. 8.3 stroke N. There we go. Our gross weight 52 decimal. Let's round it up. 52.7. Zero fuel weight. Checks out. Sort of, not exactly. Reserves, let's say it's 2. And our cruise altitude today was, what did we say it was? 280, flight level 280. Okay, that's all checks out, and now we'll come to the takeoff page. Hang on. We need to first calculate that. Okay, also the APU was on, so let's start the APU air and turn on the packs so that the passengers can get some cool air. Okay, our performance, I've set in our weights. Outside air temperature is 15 degrees. And finally, our takeoff weight. I'm just going to enter in the gross weight. 52650. 52650. And calculate. Also, let's put the AHRS on and get our confirmation. So 135.075. So let's hear that out. One five. Okay, altimeters are set. Okay, that's enough. So let's calculate our speeds. We have a flap setting of 6.5, so let's quickly put that in. Six and a half, so 5. Let me go closer to avoid any parallax errors. 6.5, and takeoff flex of 50 degrees, so we'll disarm the automatic thrust, reserve thrust, and go to takeoff flex 50 degrees. That seems to be our most MD-80s takeoff these days. And also we have our V speed, so if I press over here now, it should update. It doesn't actually, does it? 121. So okay, so I'll go with these then. V1 128. So 128. And rotate 134, V2 143. 134 and 143. You can tell it's still Halloween celebrations going on with the firecrackers. So then a V2 plus 10 of 153 I'll set on the AHRS. And we'll bug our speeds like so. And that all checks out. Our center of gravity expressed as a percentage of our mean aerodynamic chord is 4.7. So that means our trim has to match with this. So let's test our trim firstly. Using first the pickle switch, then the suitcase handles, and then finally we'll go stab trim cutout and test the alternate. Okay, it all checks out. And let's set our trim then for takeoff. Okay, let's check pressurization. Outflow valve is set to auto. And our flaps will set our dialer flap over here 6.5. Like so. TCAS, let's do a TCAS test.
TCAS system test OK.
Okay, that's all well and fine. And I think we are ready. Pre-flight is complete, so I'll just select my legs page. What else did I want to do? Let's set up the AHRS. Set our bank angle limiter to 15 degrees. And we'll lift the restriction once we accelerate past our maneuver speed. And runway heading is 218. Like so. Initial altitude, let's see, is any important ones along the way? There isn't, so we'll just go straight up to our flight level 280. And arm the altitude. As so, of course, flight directors need to be on. There we go, and finally I want to do an auto land test just so that I have it available. So let me dial in our destination ILS like so on both sides and do the auto land test, which should run for about a minute or so. Okay, now having done all that, let's remove our equipment, aircraft services. The APU is running, so we don't need the GPU anymore, so let's disconnect that. There we go, GPU is disconnected. And let us now proceed with our engine start. So I'm going to turn on the anti-collision. Let's put the ground lights on just to let everyone know that we are ready. Now to start the engines, and do we need a pushback? Let me see where we are first. I don't want to taxi somewhere irrelevant. So push back straight, and then let's see. Actually, yeah, just trying to decide actually my route. So we'll push back straight, and then after that, turn right. And make our way to the runway. Okay, so let's release the parking brakes and start the pushback. APU air and the pack sensor need to go off now. We need to now verify that we have about 30 psi, which we do. Let's now start our pushback. And begin our engine start. So ignition will use, let's try system A today and starting number 2. Okay, 20% N2, the fuel is on. let's put our nose lights on and landing lights. Okay, number 2 is started up and the generator's kicked in. Now we'll start number 1. N2 is rising. Also good time to arm our speed brakes. Whoops. Arm the speed brakes. Also we need the auxiliary and transfer on now as a backup. And let's set our flaps. Okay, the fuel, let's introduce the fuel. And let's also set our auto brake for takeoff. Okay, number 1 is starting up. Okay, number 1 is kicked in. Let's stop it. And also now we can close up. So ignition goes off. Ooh, another thing. All the fuel pumps should be on before we start the engines. And we can now start the center pumps as well. But you always have suction feed and engine driven pumps to take over. Anyway, so APU air can go off now. The engine generators are kicked in. As so, we verified them. And we can push for rise. We're within range. And now APU master can go off. That'll take about 1 minute to cool down. We can put our packs on again. See how the load is suddenly come on the engine driven generators. Wow, we nearly got pushed into the grass now. Okay, so with that out of the way, the APU is shutting down. Overhead panel is checked. Finally, we'll put our probe heats on. Oh yes, we need to arm the TOGA. Like so. And let's also arm our nav mode as well. So this is how you do it. You first arm your TOGA, then your nav mode, okay? You don't do how like on the 737. Okay, let's check our flaps. They are set for takeoff. And let's get moving. Okay, let's do a flight control check. Flight controls are checked. Okay, another thing I need to do is also turn off the pneumatic cross feeds. They're no longer required. And finally, for takeoff, we also need to set our ignition to both. You can really hear the nose wheel steering. It sounds very like as if you're scraping against the ground. That's how I would say it is. Okay, we're turning onto the runway. Just let's alert the attendant that we are ready to go. Okay, and finally let's start with the takeoff roll. So transponder also needs to go to TARA now. Auto brakes are set and everything has been thoroughly checked. So now the takeoff is like this. I'm going to advance the engines, spool them up slightly to about 1.4 EPR. And then auto throttle on. And that'll set our takeoff thrust. You can really hear the pressurization outflow valve clicking as it tries to close, which is actually a very good sign. Okay, takeoff thrust is set. We are now in climp mode, which means we can adjust thrust as required if we need to eject the takeoff. Okay, we're approaching our V1. Rotate. Pitch to 10 degrees initially until we get a positive rate of climb. V2. Positive rate, gear up. And now I'll pitch to maintain V2 plus 10. Okay, our nav mode is active and I'll start to follow that. Follow the flight directors. 1500 feet, climb thrust is set. You can also attract our landing lights for better performance. Okay, coming up at 3000 feet, I'm going to accelerate to VNAV. And now we are in VNAV climb. Okay, so we reached our slat retraction speed. Let's get the slats up. And finally, our flaps. Okay, flaps up. Just trimming out the aircraft. Okay, let's engage the autopilot. Now we are in command, the autopilot's in command. Center pressure is low, so we'll turn those pumps off now. They're not needed. Let's put the ignition set to off. And there we go. Let's disarm the speed brakes. Auto brakes, they can go off. When climb thrust, very good. And also we can stow our flaps, our dialer flap. Stowed. Okay, classic rear seat view. I wish I had such a view on my aircraft. Okay, we can also turn our engine-driven hydraulics to low and our auxiliary and transfer to off. The reason being is we don't want to stress the engine-driven hydraulics, and also we don't need the backup system as well. Our flaps and gear are up, and all we need then is just a bit of manual I mean, it's all manual really, except the spoilers, if you really need such a high roll rate. Coming on our next waypoint, we can also lift the bank angle limit. And let's sync the heading. One thing I just want to do very quickly is general options and change this to, there we go. Otherwise there was such a lag, you know, if you've noticed with the engine instruments, there was like a real motion blur. So there we go. Coming up on 10,000 feet, we can let the flight attendants know. And we can put our seatbelt signs off. Let's check our pressurization. The cabin is pressurizing nicely, cabin altitude is rising. And also our generators are running well. Oh yes, and our other lights as well, the ground ones. There we go, they're off. Okay, fast forwarding slightly in the flight, we're now at 21,000 feet and just enjoying the views. Really enjoyable aircraft, isn't it? We'll stow the tablet away, we don't need it. Very nice views out here. It really feels nice, you know, when you're in command of such a iconic aircraft like the MD-80. And especially if you know how to fly it well, like me. That really makes a difference. Okay, just exploring the cabin slightly. Very quiet at the front, and obviously as you go to the back it would start to get a bit loud. Oh yes, you can really feel it getting louder. And there we are, the JT8D engine. Classic. Classic aircraft. What I can do is speed up the flight slightly, like so. How long do we have? Let's go to plan mode and find out. We're at this waypoint, and then after that so not too many. Could also customize our map if we wanted to, put some nav aids on or data, or even other waypoints as well. Yeah, that's very nice. And also, what else can we do? Okay, altitude alert, 1000 to go. And now the altitude will be captured. And now we can set our cruise rating. There we go, thrust is coming back. And we are now at level flight. We can also turn on our engine sync. Oh yeah, another thing I didn't do in my pre-flight is I never tested the GPWS. Okay, so you know when I did all that anti-skid and stall and all, so I just got skipped out of the process. Also, let's dial in a lower altitude now. Okay, VNAV descent. We're now going down. We'll have to turn the engine sync off. Oops. And also our vertical deviation profile, I'm monitoring that closely, as well as the fast and slow indicators. So I do need a bit of speed brakes. We're a little fast. We'll deploy them. Oh, you can really hear the speed brakes. There we go. And also let's check AHRS for the arrival route 120.175. Do we need any lights over here? Oh, nice. Some lights. I guess when we get closer, then we'll get the info we need. Our pressurization, our cabin altitude is descending, which is perfectly okay, as intended. Let's put the seatbelt signs on now. Slightly fast, I'll deploy a bit more speed brakes. Oh, you can see how the outflow valve, as the engines are being spooled up, how the valve is opening, because more air is being introduced into the cabin, so to monitor that. Very cool this is, cool features. Just monitoring the fast slow indicator and the Salmon speed bug and adjusting our speed as required with a bit of help from the speed brakes. Okay, coming up at 10,000 feet, our speed restriction has kicked in. And let's go to the tower. Even though I'm not really going to be talking to that fake tower, but we'll do so anyway. Our next is 4,000 feet. Okay, good time to get our landing data, so let's get the tablet back up and go to performance. Takeoff, now it's landing. Let's put in the IKO for the landing. Runway. Okay, let's dial in 3,000 feet. Okay, so landing altitude is, not landing. Landing airport, sorry, and our landing weight is, technically it's going to be a bit less than this, but let's put in. Let me just check my sim brief actually. What's my estimated landing weight? Let's just put in then. Okay, and set our speed box for flaps 30. Flaps 28, sorry, landing. And our ILS and frequency is 110.10 with a course of 175. Like so. Okay, retard power.
20, 10.
Okay, reverse thrust. Okay, 60 knots, reverse lights out. Okay, we've landed successfully. We can now put our auto brakes off. And let's now move to the parking stand. quiet. What I can do is, now that we've vacated the runway, I can start our APU. Can also turn off our flight directors now. Now let's taxi up to the stand. Okay, parking brake is set. There we go. Okay, quite a precarious parking. Well, let's start now shutting down, so we can now put our auxiliary and transfer hydraulics off. Let's now put off the no seatbelt sign, so we can put our boost pumps off. Just basically undoing everything we did. We can put our APU air on as well. Get the cross blades open. Galley power will stay on as we're unloading. And just checking everything else. Finally, we can proceed for an engine shutdown. Also, our transponder is set to standby. Water brakes are off, everything's okay. Oh yeah, flaps, retract those while we still have hydraulics. And now we can proceed to shut our engines down. And now the APU generator would have kicked in. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this short flight. It was, I think the startup was pretty well, and the takeoff, the climb, the landing definitely left a lot of room to be improved, especially since I had actually rushed a bit, descended. I mean, I should have done a low-level orbit and come back, but I just wanted to land basically, because I'm short on time. But I hope you enjoyed the flight, and stay tuned for more MD-80 adventures and Concorde adventures specifically. Okay, we're over and out.